Welcome to Scoop World Order. We are 2 sleeps away from the game of the year, the home game of the year for the Buckeyes. They're playing the Penn State Nittany Lions. A lot of good stuff is going on in college football. Jim Harbaugh busted cheating, shocker of shockers, sign stealing, whatever. That'll be a very interesting development. See if anything actually happens to those guys. But a big black eye for the Blue Bellies. We're going to get into a 5-star flip potentially coming. A superstar from Florida, part of the South Florida Express crew. Was coming up with J.J. Smith and Brett Getz and the whole crew. So we're super excited to break his film down. And we're going to talk Penn State. I mean, how can you not? This is a home game of the year. A lot of buzz around this game. Another big noon kickoff, noon. BuckeyeScoop.com is absolutely on fire right now. So if you guys aren't members, now's the time to join our game thread. Already has over 1,000 views. So it's not even game day yet. That being said, as always, we appreciate you guys that are all tuning in every single night. We appreciate all of our regulars. Thank you so much. If you enjoy this content, please leave us a like. Shout out where you guys are watching from. And also, click that little alert bell. When you click that alert bell, you get a notification on your phone of when we go live, so you never miss a show and you can kick it with us all the time. That being said, I'm going to bring in my favorite sign stealer in the entire world, Mr. Nevada Buck. Nevada, how are you today?
I'm doing good, man. It's like it's a good day. You know, when you get down to those, under 3 sleeps, you get down to those 2 and 1 number sleeps before a big game. It's always kind of an exciting time, and this is going to be a good one. There's lots of intrigue. We got some guys that are kind of on the edge. One kind of trying to clear concussion protocol, one on a little bit of a gimpy ankle, kind of going in there. You've got questions of how healthy the team is. You've got issues with Harbaugh cheating. I mean, it's just like this today's and a 5-star potential flip from a Bama kid. So lots of stuff going on. This is Intrigue Thursday for sure, and I'm excited to talk about it all.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. We'll start with the Michigan thing because that's kind of the topic du jour. Huge thread on BuckeyesScoop.com. We've been in it all day talking about sign stealing, which everybody does. If you don't change your signs, you're a total idiot. But they do. A lot of teams are going to wristbands so they can just do numerical things and switch the wristbands. So how it works is there's a lot of mechanisms to get a play into your quarterback or your linebacker, or whoever is calling the defense or calling the plays, or if you signal to everybody. There's a lot of different ways to do things. Like with Urban in 2012, we literally would go to the line and say like 13 book 280 or 13 book 14 book, or we'd have 2 different numbers and 2 different plays. And literally it would either be the first one we said or the second one we said would be the actual play that we were running. So we'd either say second play is live or first play is live. So it seems like the silliest thing in the world, and it kind of is, but it worked, and we were able to go really fast and do it. With Tressel, we huddled. We used wristbands. Against Michigan, we would change the wristbands either every quarter or at halftime. Again, that is always a little sketchy because you have to make sure that everybody gets their wristbands swapped out because you don't want a kid in the second half to have his first half wristband and you signal something and he runs the wrong play and it ends up in a disaster. So, and nowadays, people are sophisticated. You see on the sideline, if you guys go to the home games, you can see the guys holding the boards up in front of Justin Fry and Mike Salini and the 3 guys that are signaling in the strange colored shirts. It's really hard to pick those guys. The guys on the opposing sideline, they can't really hold the boards up in front. So if you've got binoculars, you can look down and pick those signals pretty easily. But Nevada, do you think anything's actually going to come of this other than the black eye, the investigation, that the Matt Weiss guy just kind of got whacked out of the middle of nowhere with no explanation. So I think that they knew that this was going on and they whacked him as like a preeminent strike. But do you think anything actually happens with Michigan when all the findings are revealed?
Well, look, before I get into that, I want to know, where does Justin Fry get that electric lime green shirt? Do you know what I'm saying, like that?
That's I think like Maui Gyms at like Cocoa Beach. Like, is it Maui Gyms?
Yeah, you got to go online to find stuff like that because it's like, man, you can't find that. You try finding that shirt and try to describe that color to someone, and you just can't do it. So, but
it's like Jimmy Buffett, like Margarita Green. It's perfect.
It's Van Gogh. I like it. No, it's. I don't think anything's going to come of it. Having said that, there seems to be more smoke to this one than usual. And if you go back, there was that really weird Greg Schiano interview at halftime of the
No.
Rutgers Michigan game, where he was basically hinting that there was something afoot. And we had the female Ron Burgundy interviewing him and was just completely like just
Ob-
oblivious to the fact that he kept
obtuse.
trying. It's just obtuse, completely obtuse to the fact he kept going. There's really something strange going on out there. There's really something really weird going on out there. And she'd be like, okay, well, what do you need to do in the second half to go? And he's like, well, there's really something weird going on. And she was just not getting the memo at all. So we had to be screaming in her ear. But I think I don't know. Like part of me, I have this yin yang thing going on. Part of me is like, man, nobody's going to do anything. Even when Harbaugh lied to the NCAA and they slapped him on the wrist with that stupid 3-day suspension or 3 games or whatever the heck it was. So am I really going to believe something's going to come of this? No. But then on the other hand, there's just so much smoke that, I mean, this one seems to have really hit a nerve with coaches, with the Big Ten office, with something. So I don't know. And then you mentioned that Weiss thing. That Weiss thing was beyond weird. I mean,
Yeah.
it was weird. The timing of it, the circumstances, everything that was said about it. Like, I thought that it had to be something to do with like kiddie porn or something like that on the computer when I first heard like computer crimes, because like he was accessing the computer. I mean, and it never got explained unless I completely missed it. If somebody can explain what happened with that, like that's put in the comments. What is your scenario? Why do you think that guy got fired? Because it never made any sense and what they were talking about. So is there a nexus between these two things? I don't know. Some people are hinting that there is, and if there is, then this story takes on an even larger life at that point. But for fun, go back and watch the halftime interview with Schiano, because that was comedy gold for sure.
Oh, I know. She was like straight Good Morning Piscataway. I mean, when she was on there, I mean, she was the female Ron Burgundy is the perfect way to describe her. She was not picking up what he was laying down, that, hey, these guys might be cheating. And again, coaches know, and they talk, and they all, they're it's especially like when they hate you. Like, I mean, like a lot of coaches that were opponents hated Urban, and a lot of them hate Harbaugh. So, they all kind of band together against the ones that they really hate, that are kind of polarizing. And they all share the little dirty secrets. Like, hey, magically, these guys knew exactly when we were running inside zone. Hey, magically, these guys knew exactly what coverage we were going to be in. So it's like, again, it's, with sophisticated technology, like, hey, I can't imagine it would be that hard to go rip someone's signals when you could just go buy a front row ticket, sit there with your iPhone for 4 hours and just record every single signal. Like, it would look weird, but I mean, would anybody really notice? I always wonder, because I'm like Woody Hayes. Like, Woody Hayes' paranoia was almost like, it was unbelievable, like beyond the Hall of Fame, how paranoid he was about everything. And I was always the same way, because I'm like, we better change our signals like every week, because, or at least change the numbers, or do wristbands, don't just signal the same stuff. And then all of a sudden you get into versus like Clemson, and magically they have all your signals, and magically they know exactly what you're going to run. And then it makes it a million times harder. Again, that's on coaching. That's on the coaching staff. The coaching staff has to mix that up, because you can't trust anybody. And you have to assume that your signals are getting taped, just because that's just modern football. I mean, it's, the cameras are never been clear 4K little dinky cameras. And I just think that that's part of the game. And again, it's funny because, we'll have these episodes where people say, oh, the O-line sucks or defense sucks or whatever. And I was like, well, maybe they knew exactly what we were going to be running, or they knew how to stop exactly what we were going to do, because they had our signals, Clemson 2019. So, 20 and that 16-year-old we just got absolutely waxed by the Deshaun Watson team. Sometimes if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, it's probably a duck. That's kind of what I think's going on here. But yeah, Ward Manuel really came out pretty strong about it. And there's a lot of buzz that Ward Manuel's the athletic director for Michigan, that him and Mr. Harbaugh have been butting heads. And if Jim Harbaugh hadn't beaten us the last years, he's probably already out of a job, the way he's been interviewing and trying to get out of there. Do you think this gives Ward Manuel the ammunition to move on Harbaugh? Because again, I've seen guys get whacked. Like Mel Tucker got whacked for basically just stupidity, and that cost him like $90 million. Do you think that something like this, where there's like potential malice. Could they move on from Harbaugh because of this incident?
I mean, look, I think Harbaugh will move on from them, but I just don't. I don't think anybody at Michigan has got the cojones to move on Harbaugh when he's on a 2-game winning streak against Ohio State. What'll get him to move on from Harbaugh is if Ryan Day goes up there and violates him up there in Ann Arbor later in late November. Then I think they would all of a sudden grow a spine, and all of a sudden this stuff would really upset them. But look, when teams have your signals, it. Like, because games have a rhythm, and you can tell, just like when you're calling in plays and you see them signaling and they're going right to where your spots are, because kids aren't real subtle about this stuff. It's not like they're like hiding it or things like that. And that's why when I see a guy like Shiano saying what he was, when I see a thing, that it's happening. Will Michigan, will this cause them to take a move on Harbaugh? I don't think so. But look, I didn't think Northwestern would move on Pat Fitzgerald. I thought Pat Fitzgerald was the best thing that ever happened in Northwestern football. And how wrong was I on that? The tsunami of outrage picked up steam, and he just happened to be in the way, and he got swept out to sea. And it's just the way it is. It's like people spin the wheel of outrage, and you just hope that it doesn't come up on your name, because that's how it works with social media. It just comes on, and it just like, we need a head, we need a body. Somebody's got to pay. Well, bing, Pat Fitzgerald, you're out of here. So could it happen to Harbaugh? Sure, it could happen. It could happen to any of us. So this one's going to be a good story, though. I think the next 48 hours is going to be very interesting as details start to leak out about this, as they inevitably will.
Yeah, because the parasites are going to be up there digging and trying to find every little scoop they can on this one, because this is a red hot story. So we are going to get into the 5-star potential flip. Jamie French is a guy who'd been on the radar. He's from Mandarin. He's a South Florida Express kid. Obviously, we've got the pipeline rolling with Ennis, Tate, J.J. Smith, a couple of Seth Hawkins. We've got like nice little pipeline going with SFE. This is an SFE kid committed to Bama right now, but he's coming and he's a 5-star. So, you never know. Again, I know that St. Nick is tough to beat, but Brian Hartline has been red hot on the recruiting trail, and we beat Penn State and he feels the love. Why not? And I've seen crazier stuff happen if Nick Saban retires at the end of the season or announces that. Kids flip all the time. Guys move on to the NFL. Saban isn't, but I'm just saying, you recruit these guys until the bitter end, because, like I always say, with Dontre Wilson, who was dead to rights, going to Oregon, would play for Chip Kelly, be their next superstar, and Chip goes to the Eagles, and all of a sudden, he's back in play. And Urban never stopped recruiting him. So we're going to toss this film on real quick. Nevada, how sweet would it be to flip a 5-star? Because he's a stud safety, too, from Bama into the fold with the Bucks.
Well, typically in a situation like this, I'd be like, no chance, 0.001 or something like that. But the way we're recruiting wide receivers right now, the way we're cranking those guys out like on an assembly line to NFL riches, and the big thing that you said earlier, Saban's going to retire. It's just a question of, is it this year? Is it next year? And he's not going to coach forever. I mean, that's the one good thing about having a young coach like Ryan Day is, you're not getting those, you might get those, hey, Ryan Day to the Patriots, Ryan Day moves on to the NFL type of talk, but you're not getting the retiring talk. And Saban has talked about it. I think this year's been really tough on him. And could he retire? Absolutely. So a kid like this, man, you want to keep moving him. And if there's ever a place to go, if you're a wide receiver, if I had a son that was a wide receiver, I would hope and pray that they're being recruited by Ohio State, because that you go there, you've got a really good chance. You put in the work and you're good enough that you're going to create generational wealth. So why wouldn't you look at it? Wouldn't the Buckeyes make sense? No, this is definitely a live one, and got to keep swinging on it.
Yeah, I think that, Nick Saban just bought like a $20 million house on like Star Island, or, one of the incredible areas of South Florida. And eventually he's going to want to go spend some time there. Again, I know that coaching is life, and, these guys, for these guys that are in it, man, it's like heroin. When I was in it for 3 years, man, it is like a death spiral. Like, you want to work 90 hours a week because you're scared someone else is going to be working more, and you blink and your life just passes by as you're doing it. Now, you make a lot of money, but you don't really spend time doing anything other than coaching football. And for guys that are in it, though, man, it's like they don't know how to get out of it. Like Mark D'Antonio, who's never going to coach again. Well, guess what he's doing right now? He's up at Michigan State, chilling there. He's helping out. I mean, he's
Well,
good.
Kirk, I want to correct you. Saban said that one of the things he wants to do is when he retires is spend some time with Antonio's grandkids. That's what he wants to do. So,
From your mouth to my ears, he's never going to
yeah,
coach again. Well, he's back at Michigan State, so
oh no, what a shock.
yeah. I mean, if you didn't want to again, when Ohio State came at him and wanted him to be a quality control coach, because again, they weren't sold on Kerry Combs, so they were like, hey, maybe you could have him sit there, and if Kerry screws the pooch again, then you could put Dino right in there, and he'd already know all the players, know all the scheme. That's why you do that. That's why you keep a guy in that chair as that analyst guy. It's like Will Muschamp. Like Will Muschamp was sitting in that chair as a QC for Georgia, and then all of a sudden Dan Lanning goes to Oregon, and they just promote Will Muschamp. He already knows the players. He already knows the scheme. He's getting paid by South Carolina like $10 million or $8 million a year, so you can pay him $200,000, and he's not going to be starving. And so Dino, when they went after him, it was one of those things where, I mean, he considered it, but again, when you're sitting there thinking, well, will this destroy my entire legacy of my coaching career is predominantly at Michigan State. So all of a sudden, when you beat Michigan State 85-0, like we did, or whatever it was, and then you're walking across the field making $250,000 wearing your little Ohio State polo, and you're walking across shaking all the Spartans fans. I mean, it kind of like it's like you flush it down the toilet for, a little bit of money, which again, it's great. But I mean, Dino's back where, he rightfully should be, is Michigan State, and helping out, trying to keep that thing on the rails, because, they thought they had Mel Tucker, and they found out that Mel Tucker was basically clueless, and they moved on. They moved on him. As soon as they realized that they made a mistake signing him to a $90 million contract, they figured out that, there's some flimsy stuff we can get rid of him for us. Let's whack him real quick. But yeah, Jamie French, he's is it a reach? Yeah. But like for me, if you're a dynamic recruiter like Brian Hartline, and the biggest thing he has is that track record is insane. And Marvin's going to be another top 3-4 pick. And then you got Emeka's going to be a top 15 pick. So it's going to keep churning. And then you got Ennis Tate. The good thing we have going is that Brandon Ennis and Cardell Tate are great ambassadors for South Florida, for Ohio State, because they're both from there. They both could have literally gone to Bama, Georgia. They could have gone anywhere. And they love it up here. They absolutely love it. They love everything about Columbus. They love everything about Ohio State. It gets a little cold, but those guys have just massive futures. And honestly, I think Carnell's future is going to start this Saturday, because I think that he's going to be the guy. I don't think Mac's going to be able to go, but I think Carnell's going to be that dude this week. As we get into the game, we're past the two hard practice, or actually we're past all three practices. The work week is officially over at this hour at 6:50. The team's off the field. Your thoughts, Nevada? Health, the big question, Denzel. I think Denzel's very, very questionable, if not doubtful. Emeka, probably doubtful. Trey is 100% full go. But your thoughts on where the team's at health-wise, and how you're feeling heading into Penn State?
Yeah, well, they're like, I mean, look, you worry about things like this. This is the cold and flu season. You worry about, flu bugs and other things that you can't kind of control. But in terms of the major injury stuff, I think you've got a pretty good handle on it. And for Ohio State, it's always been a story of next man up. I can't think of very few games in Ohio State history where, we would have won had it not been for this guy playing or not. I mean, I remember 2015 when Michigan State beat us with their third string quarterback or whatever the heck it was. So, for Ohio State, would you wish that you had everybody at perfect strength? Yeah, of course, but that's never the way that it's going to be. And for Ohio State, I don't think that's the way it's going to be on Saturday. But no excuses. Yeah, we're better than Penn State. We should beat Penn State. The crowd's going to bring it for Penn State. I love the defensive, plan. I love the offensive plan for Penn State, and I think Dave's got a good one cooked up. I think he's got a really good scheme, and I know Knowles has got a really good scheme on the defense side of the ball. So, very confident. Like I said, the health stuff is it's unfortunate, but it is what it is, and just got to play through it and just be thankful that none of the stuff is long term and or season ending or anything like that, and just kind of got to go get it and hope for the best. You never know. I mean, with concussion stuff, it's weird because that stuff can either linger for a long time or it can clear really quick. And so, Denzel hit his head pretty good on the on the turf last week. Hopefully it clears up, because if it does, he didn't need to practice. He knows the defenses. He knows the coverages. You just hope he's got a clear head and a clear protocol, and rock and roll.
Yeah, concussions are the worst injury in the world, just because you might feel like you can play and then you get held because of liability. So doctors are always real cautious with that. But I had a bad one in '06. I didn't miss a game, but I had a bad one in practice. It was funny because Laurinaitis killed me on a blitz, and those guys always would lead with the crown of their helmet, which is fine. I mean, I didn't mind it, but James got me good, man, and I was foggy, and so I didn't practice. That was on like a Tuesday. Might have been a Wednesday. And I didn't practice Thursday or Friday. I didn't do the walkthroughs, and then I played on Saturday, and we were playing Northwestern. They're terrible, so we beat them like 50-7 or whatever. So by halftime, I was yanked because I said, "Look, hey, if we're good, get me out of this game." But it was a little different time back then. It wasn't as evident, and there wasn't all the head trauma. There wasn't the tent, all this other stuff that goes on. Because I think Chip's probably out. I'd be shocked if he went, but I think Trey and Dallin will be a dynamic 1-2 punch. But I think that we have guys that can step up. I think we have a lot of talent. And the biggest thing is, like, I tell people, we own Penn State. Like, everybody's scared of these guys. I'm like, we've won 11 out of the last 12. Like, they have to go climb our mountain. Like, it's not like we got to go, like, we own them. It's kind of like what we had with Michigan for the longest time. With Michigan, I mean, they had to, their guys, their whole staff and team had doubts every year because they couldn't do whatever it takes to get over that hump, over that mountain. And I'm telling you, the mental edge is huge. They got to come to Columbus. This is by far the biggest home game of the year. So people are already getting lubed up. People are already tailgating, ready to rock, because, if you look at the rest of our schedule, like, all we got left is Minnesota and Michigan State. And those are, 28-point favorite spreads. So there's not going to be a lot of drama there. So people are excited for this game. People are flying in. And I just, for whatever reason, I don't know why people give James Franklin this long leash and all this credit, because frankly, if he doesn't beat us in 16, they would have fired him. I mean, he was like at death's door, and they had that miraculous one where they block a field goal. Brady Taylor gets yanked out of the way, and they jump in and block it. And that, then it was like, it is what it is. Like, my biggest pet peeve that goes on with Ohio State is we lose so few games to teams that, like, it's like every single time you watch us play somebody, they go back like to the 2018 Purdue game, or the 2009 Purdue game, or the 2000. We haven't lost to Wisconsin since 2010. So they go back to the 2010 game, like 13 years ago. Like, J.J. Watt played in that game, and he's already completed his NFL career and retired. Penn State, like, they go back, like, we'll be watching the game, I'm sure, on Saturday, and they'll go, well, here's the highlight from 2016 when they beat us like 7 years ago or whatever it was. And like, that like drives me crazy. Am I wrong being annoyed by that, Nevada? Because I just think it's so funny when they do that. Because I'm like, so none of the same coaches are there usually. I mean, Franklin's still there, but with Wisconsin, all their guys are gone. All the players, coaches, like, the whole thing's clean slate. Is that weird that they always do that? And why do you think they do that?
I mean, we're the king, man. It's like when that happens. I mean, we've talked about this before, but I can remember it was at the game. That's what I remember. But night game 2003 against Wisconsin, like, the out and up move against Gamble, one of the few times that Gamble got beat, and to Lee Evans. I can remember the players, so it's like these things are notable. Beating Ohio State is notable, and that's the price you pay when you're part of the football royalty, and we certainly are part of football royalty. And we got to protect the house on Saturday. We got to protect the house. I know the crowd's going to bring it. It does have that special, those games, those extra special games just have that extra juice. And this one has that extra juice. And don't think for a second that stuff doesn't make a difference, because it makes a big difference. And Ohio State's going to be flying around. I can't wait for the game. Let's kick it off now. Let's go.
Did you see who the guest picker is?
Who is the guest picker?
We got our boy CJ Stroud coming back. They said he does not have to run to get onto the podium at game day, but he can just slowly walk and stay in the pocket.
I thought it was going to be Jack Harlow or something like that, but no, it's CJ Stroud.
I'm surprised it's not like Travis Kelce with his
oh man
with his Pfizer needle hanging out of his arm.
Taylor Swift, man, Swiftie. I'm a Swiftie, man. I admit it. I'm a Swiftie, so it's like,
no,
can't
you're
get enough
not.
of that.
You don't know
Oh
any of
man,
her
I'm
songs. Seriously? No, you're not.
Cruel Summer.
Oh my
I knew you
god.
were trouble when you walked in, dude. I know them all. I'm a Swiftie.
Oh, you know all the hits.
I know all the
Play the
hits,
hits.
man. Here's what I know about Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is going to pull down $4 billion from this tour. 4 billion. I
That's
mean,
epic. That's impressive.
that's up. That's exactly. I mean, she can buy her own NFL team, man. So it's like Taylor, you got my eternal love, and I'm here in case things fall through with Travis. If you want an older guy that's married 5 kids, then I'm your guy. Give me a call.
You know what would be amazing is if she decided to try and put hockey in Las Vegas. That'd be genius. I don't know if anyone's thought to do that, but that'd be awesome if she could do that.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's going to be a big. That Vegas, great sports town, man. Great sports town.
Great sports town. We're gonna watch a couple of clips real quick as we get out of here. But who needs to step up with Mecca out? Because I think the guy that's been on fire is Cade. You know, again, they're featuring him now. They're doing this little drag. I love these are the kind of concepts we need to run against Chop Robinson in this D line, where you got a 7-man protection here, got a little pull action here. Like these are my kind of plays because I love play action. I love the pull guard because it makes the safety think run. It makes everybody step up and think run. And then you've got basically, it's a 7-man protection basically. So right here, you've got a big wall of 7 guys. So you can pick up basically any blitz. And it's basically a 3-man route concept. And you got Cade, Cade's been incredible this year. But I love this play because this is hard to defend because, you know, when you've got Marvin down here, you know, this guy's tied up and these guys are running all man because, you know, they're basically going for broke. But this is the stuff that I think we need to do against Penn State. We need the 7-man protections, help the tackles versus the good ends, be ready to pick up Manny Diaz's blitzes. This is just gorgeous. Again, I love the play action. I love when you can help, you know, by the positioning of these guys, of G and I think that's Dallin, you can help the edges and the interior. Wherever there's a leak, you can go pick it up. So here, there's a leak, picked up. G's looking for work. So, I mean, this is like 7-on-7. I mean, there's literally like no pressure right here. So, again, I can't tell you how much I loved Ryan Day's scheme this past game. Nevada, what are our keys going to be versus the blitz? Do you think it's the short game, the short passing game? Do you run into it? What are your thoughts? Because, you know, I think that Manny Diaz, the more he talks about it, I mean, he's going to be bringing the house against us. And I think that it's going to come down to McCord and Marvin winning routes because Marvin doesn't get one up very often. But if they're bringing 7, he's going to be one up.
Well, first of all, I'm not convinced the Mecca's not going. So I'll just throw that out there. Secondly, we've got a plethora of wide receivers that can punish, you know, Penn State in terms of doing things. But the play to watch out for is when you've got that offset back with Henderson, they've been working on swinging him out. And you know, if you're bringing the blitz and all of a sudden you swing that pass out to Trey, I mean, if you complete that little 3-yard little loopy pass, Trey may house it. So, you know, that's a play that's going to be a stressor for that Penn State defense. You know, we've talked about, you know, Ohio State, you know, bringing guys out of the box so they can identify the blitzes, you know, just help identify who those extra defensive guys that are hanging around that are going to come. And for Ohio State, that, you know, I love it when they're pulling that offensive line. I thought the helping technician had a great nugget, and it was talking about, you know, the difference between dancing bear offensive linemen and maulers. And we've got a bunch of dancing bears on that offensive line, and when we can pull them and get those angles going, you know, that's when our offensive line starts to go, because we're not going to just line it up and push you off the ball and just maul the mass fronts and beat that. But when we're pulling the guys, we're bringing guys left, bringing the playback right, bringing orbit motion, you know, creating, you know, doubt in the minds of those defensive players. Our offensive linemen start to cook, and you know that's when Dallin looks good. I think Chip is playing this week. Trey, Mayan, I think our running back room's at 100% right now. Certainly from a practice standpoint, they are. So I think that we're gonna, you know, I think that's what's gonna create the problems is stop just lining up, playing to our offensive line's weaknesses, start pulling guys, start bringing action against the flow, start playing to our offensive line strengths. And if we do that, if Ryan Day calls that game, and I think he will, I think it's going to be a successful day on Saturday.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm going to do one more and then we'll get out of here. again, I love the motion, especially against when you're getting man. You get a lot of man, a lot of blitz. The motion's a great way to figure out what you're getting coverage wise. You see this safety is moving with Marvin, and again, a safety versus Marvin is going to be a murder. But what's even a bigger murder is when you go two tight ends. So you've got your two tight ends here. You've got G. Scott. Then you got our boy Cade Stover as kind of the inline receiver split out. And so when you do this little like zigzag motion, you bring him in and then you loop him back out like a little flare pass. You basically have like a triple option, like where you're running zone front side. You've got G coming backside. You've got the running back coming front side where you could hand this off. And if he gets a block, I mean, he might house this or at least get a big chunk of yardage. But then you have Marvin flaring here and you have our boy Cade versus a little poor corner who he absolutely murders. So, you get this little tunnel here. And really the only guy that has a chance to get Marvin because he's moving with the running back and he's in no man's land is the safety. He's in the middle of the field. So you watch this, you're just like, when he catches this, he ain't getting him. Cade's got this guy hemmed up because he's probably 50 pounds heavier than him. And Marvin's got this little alley right here. And I mean, I love scheme like this because it's just so easy. It's so easy. Marvin gets a ton of yardage. He gets to run out of bounds, not take a blow, or not take a hit, which is great. But that's the kind of stuff that I love the progression of the offense. Like I said, that's like stealing. Don't let Marvin just sit there and let them have play coverage on him and not move him around. Like I think putting him all over the place, putting him in motion, making the defense have to communicate, especially on the road. Again, I know it's not generally loud when we're on offense, but it can be. I just think, dude, the more you can move Marvin around and make him less predictable as opposed to just putting him out, to the far right or left, I think it's just genius by Ryan Day and his staff. Any final thoughts, Nevada? We are 2 sleeps away from the big one. But your thoughts as of Thursday?
Well, like that last play, if you look at a lot of the stuff that we're doing, I mean, it's like kind of 2020 Alabama offensive concepts, the way that they used to run with Devontae Smith and have Mac Jones there running that RPO game. I mean, that's kind of what we're looking towards right now. And you look at those last plays, we literally had like 5 options off of every one of the plays. Hand it off to the front side, throw it to the backside, throw it to Cade on a fly, have quarterback keep and follow. I mean, you've got so many options, and that's just so un-Ohio State-like. And you remember how much trouble it gave? I mean, Alabama could have scored 100 points against us that day.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, we had no answer. And I think that's the thing. When you're wondering what the offense is going to look like this year, I think that's the offense. That's the 2020 Alabama offense, the RPO game with Mac Jones, that using Marvin Harrison like they used Devontae Smith. I think that's what we're going to see, and I think you're going to see it starting this Saturday.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, we're going to wrap this thing up. As always, we appreciate you guys rocking with us tonight. We loved on the show. Thank you for all the comments, the great feedback. If you enjoyed this this podcast, leave us a like, click subscribe. Also, click that little alert bell so you'll let you know when we go live tomorrow. So that being said, as always, thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. I'm about to jump on BuckeyeScoop.com, watch the Thursday Night Football game, get ready for the weekend. I hope you guys have a great weekend. It's time to beat the Penn State Nittany Lions. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Go Bucks.